yesterday got into the paths to the extent that we discussed something about path number one from the cosmic fire perspective. Now let's read what the Tibetan has to say from Rays and the Initiations. There are 4 pages in that book which are given here, and see if we can add to our understanding. Go to questions. Oh, I see there are. Please note the participants list. Thank you. Good morning, and most special experience. Thank you. Okay, right. Very good. The path of earth service as given in the Rays and the Initiations. We had some really good statements yesterday from some of the webinar group about the green dragon and the 4-petaled lotus and the 12-petaled lotus, and I haven't checked yet. I think Francis was going to send me something on that, but I haven't had a chance to check. I will in a little bit. This is the only path which the Lord of the world regards as within his field of spiritual interference, meaning his will can influence who treads this particular path. Like I said yesterday, one has to be, as it were, tapped to tread this path. And it's only according to his needs as he foresees them for the planet. On that basis, the membership of this path is determined. He reserves the right to retain in the service of the hierarchy. Oops, what is this? Don't want that. Okay. He reserves the right to retain in the service of the hierarchy, and consequently of humanity, and the subsidiary evolutions, those masters he regards at any one time as essential to the work to be done. So his will can determine whether we are, at some future point, retained in the service of this planet. This he does by asking them to record their decision when taking the 6th initiation, but to postpone moving on to one or other of the paths until he gives the word. So the decision is made, the requirements of the 6th initiation are passed, but one is retained if it is seen suitable by the Lord of the world. Obviously, this wasn't the case for the Buddha, who did decide to stay, even though the Lord of the world apparently did not indicate to him that he was needed. As DK says, very reverently may it be said, and his most understandable error. This word he has lately given in the case of the Buddha, meaning the word move on, who has expiated his most understandable mistake and will now move forward in his own good time, because I do believe the Buddha will be involved with the Christ for quite a number of centuries during the Aquarian Age, and that together, before the Aquarian Age is concluded, they will pass before the Lord of the world for a dual initiation. which will be, I think, the completion for both of them of the seventh initiation, because they have not yet, apparently it's a very long process, some of these later initiations, they have not yet completed it. And that will be in the Aquarian Age, but I'm not sure whether it will be near the end or a few centuries from the end. But the Buddha, as it says here, in his own good time, meaning he will know when it is right, and it could be centuries. Because it won't be until after that initiation that he will be free really to move on. I wonder if I can find that that statement, pass before the Lord. I did find it. That's nice when things sometimes happen correctly. Okay. Resurrection Ascension. Resurrection is the name of the seventh initiation, and we are not told of hearing the affirmative sound in the story of the Christ. That will be heard when the Christ completes his work at the time of the second coming. Then the great seventh initiation, which is a dual one, love, wisdom, and full manifestation, motivated by power and will be consummated, and the Buddha and the Christ will together pass before the Lord of the world, together see the glory of the Lord, and together pass to higher service of a nature and caliber unknown to us. But remember that the Christ is the Bodhisattva for 5,000 years. This is an unusual condition, because usually a world savior is for 2,500 years. So this word second coming, in this case, cannot mean simply that the Christ appears, because that will have to happen relatively soon, I think. And that would leave the rest of the Aquarian Age unattended by him, because then with the Buddha he would pass before the Lord of the world, complete the seventh initiation, and pass on to higher service, the nature of which is unknown to us. So it seems to me that it has to occur later in the Aquarian Age, so that the Christ can fulfill his 5,000 year cycle. And if it occurs later for him, then it necessarily has to occur later for the Buddha, because they are to pass together before the Lord of the world. You see what my reasoning is here? That it can't be in another 50 or 100 years. We can't call that the second coming. The second coming has to be this whole process involving the hierarchy of the Christ and the transformation of civilization. Then will his work be complete, not just when he arrives into visibility. This paragraph has always bothered me a little bit, trying to figure out, does this mean that the Christ and the Buddha are ready to complete the whole process and move on? Well, what would happen to the Christ's 5,000 years as world savior? It wouldn't make sense. Anyway, maybe you have your own interpretation of it, but this is mine. The completion of the seventh initiation, lies farther ahead for both of them, I think. And that makes me think that even though the word has been given to the Buddha, move on to your own path, his own good time may involve still centuries, whether or not he continues this Wesak annual event. The possibility also exists that in a way the new group of world servers will take over some of the Buddha's function is also a Taurian group, and it will perhaps replace some of the things that he does, although obviously it can't replace all because he's a member of Shambhala. In the 1946 Wesak message, there was the implication given by the Tibetan that the Buddha might only be returning for another 35 years, and that would take him to 1981. So whether or not he is returning in exactly the same way, most of us are not sure, but we know that there is a term to this Wesak process. DK did say the Wesak festival would at some point begin to fade out. Maybe, and that is interesting if he has, but still, people are certainly celebrating his presence, and probably it's a good thing to do so. So we just don't know. But anyway, he has expiated, and we don't know how, his most understandable mistake based on compassion for humanity, perhaps, and not based upon a larger point of view. That's why in the meditation this morning, I kept us looking for the expansion of perspective with each step, What would we value and desire at each higher point of vantage? So he will now move forward in his own good time onto the path which will lead him to his rightful field of expression. Now, somewhere it says, maybe it's here, I don't know where, that he was to have taken the path to Sirius, but will no longer do so, apparently. In due time also, though not for some time, the Christ will move forward to the place which calls him, though not for some time. You see, the DK is being so terribly vague here, but if the Christ is going to fulfill a 5,000-year bodhisattvaship, he can't move too far away from humanity for another 2,500 years. The Christ will move forward to the place which calls him, and the Master KH will assume the role of world teacher. Well, I believe this is in the age of Capricorn, some 2,300 years from now. Whoops. Go to webinar. That's not it. Okay. So let me see if I can make this correct. Yeah, the age of Capricorn, when atomic energy was to have been discovered. Not now, which is interesting. Age of Capricorn, spelled better than this. That's the cosmic astral plane. I'll tell you what, Oh, things are not cooperating with me this morning. What did I just erase? Anything? I seem to have gotten myself in a little snafu here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All these moves, that's it. All these moves. All these moves present their unique problems. They produce vacancies in the ranks of the hierarchy, which must be filled. They lead constantly to the inflow of new and powerful energies, for it must be recognized that these energies reach us along paths leading to our planet as well as away from it. So you kind of wonder whether energies flow along the cosmic paths. We can ask that, and it seems correct. Do energies flow towards and away from our planet on the cosmic paths. The invocative note of our united evolution at stated times and cycles sounds, that's from the earth, sounds out and reaches, capital those, who are waiting for spiritual opportunity and service. They follow the path to our planet. So this is incoming high beings coming in along the cosmic paths. From other spheres and planes they emerge along the lines of their destiny and intention. We then call them avatars, or great enlighteners, or planetary saviors, or spiritual regents. They act at the request of Sanat Kumara, given on higher cosmic levels. Well, where could Sanat Kumara make such request? And, you know, since Sanat Kumara is in a way the planetary logos himself, or is a specific expression of the planetary logos, this could be occurring even on the cosmic mental plane, very, very high. It is nevertheless a statement of fact that in due time, something is peculiar. A statement of fact that in due time, even those who choose the path of earth service and remain in hierarchical work are eventually given the right to follow their decision and to pass to extra planetary service. And we talked about certain planets being schools which are functioning along the particular paths, like Jupiter is one in relation to path 3. Venus is one, perhaps in relation to path 4, although we can ask about path 2 as well. The hierarchy, as we have seen, gives the needed training for that wider service. And the theme of what I might call the educational process to which the masters submit is the unfoldment of the consciousness of the relationships which lie beyond the aura of our planet. So the masters must learn about these relationships which lie beyond our planetary aura. You kind of wonder, we know that, let's say the Buddha became the world teacher in 3000 BC at the death of Krishna, which was about 3001 or 3002 BC. Let's say he continued as the world teacher for 2,500 years. Let's say that by the time we had reached 500 BC, or rather a bit earlier, he had given over the world teachership to the Lord Maitreya. And then Lord Maitreya has been with the process now for 2,500 years. Well, the Buddha then has been on the path of earth service for 2,500 years already, because it was approximately in 500 BC, or a bit earlier, that he took the 6th initiation. Because that cosmic touch from the cosmic mental plane, which came into his consciousness when he was enlightened in a higher way than we can ever imagine, actually set up his decision. And his decision at that time must have been, I will stay with the path of earth service. Yes, an act of great sacrifice to stay. Yes. giving up in order to serve here. And you do wonder whether when he did that, did he register any other decision relating to a future path? But my mind went to Hercules, who back in the old Atlantean days was an accomplished teacher even then. And Hercules, is he technically speaking on the path of Earth's service? Because he is presently in Shambhala, says the Tibetan. So if he has remained with the Earth and in Shambhala, perhaps he is on what can be called the path of Earth service. On the other hand, perhaps he is with this particular planet as part of what might be called training to become a planetary logos. Could be. But Hercules has been around a long time. Millions of years, really. And presently with Shambhala, let's see if I can find that reference. Obviously, that's not his name. Hercules Shambhala. Hercules has gone over into the Shambhala center, but still works in a basic association with the Buddha, who is one of the capital F forces linking Shambhala and the hierarchy. So Hercules, for millions of years, it sounds like he's still on the path of Earth service. He must have been deemed very necessary by the Lord of the world. You got to hang around here. He must be adding something very valuable, inspiring others towards the vision of strength. Okay. I find that very interesting. You know, here in this book, The Destiny of the Nations, he tells us the whereabouts of Hercules and his connection with the Buddha. You never can tell what you're going to find in the various books. You may think they're just given to a particular subject, and then unusual statements will be made. Okay. Okay, so the master learns about what lies beyond the aura of the planet. This is in reality a higher and most abstruse branch of the science of impression, which disciples upon their lower level have to master. This aspect of impression is, however, concerned with the formless worlds, whereas all the impressions to which the disciple has to learn to react emanate from and within the cosmic physical plane, of which all our 7 planes are an integral part. Well, it's interesting what DK considers to be the formless worlds, isn't it? Because usually if we look at the map, we see that these worlds are the ones usually considered the worlds of form, and the higher worlds here are considered formless. But that's not the way he's looking at it. He's saying this whole thing, this whole cosmic physical plane, is the world of form. So the impression that the masters are submitting themselves to is to the impression from the cosmic astral plane and the cosmic mental plane. Then they are really learning what lies beyond the aura of our planet. So even while they're here, they are still learning that. So they will be well prepared. Our highest spiritual world is a part of the substantial world. Like, you know, people like ourselves, if we can touch the Buddhi, if we can touch Atma, we already say, well, that's really something. You know, I'm touching these high spiritual planes, but DK is saying, look, they're just planes of form from the cosmic perspective. The masters, therefore, are working at a conscious receptivity or sensitivity to the cosmic astral plane, the source of the spirit or energy of love. Of course, we're also told that on the cosmic physical plane is a focal point for cosmic evil. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not as well the plane of pure love. There is a fundamental connection between the hierarchy, the source of expression of love on earth, and the cosmic astral plane. And it is towards this objective that the masters work who choose the path of earth service. Okay, that's interesting. Fundamental connection between hierarchy and the cosmic astral plane, and it is towards this objective. In other words, these masters are choosing to work towards the cosmic astral plane. It seems that the Christ can already touch the cosmic astral plane and receive impression from that. He has this unique sensitivity. We are told that the Christ and the Buddha are unique among the initiates of the earth because they have received cosmic touches. The Christ has received the cosmic touch of love. It's from the cosmic astral plane. And of course, he's one of the leading, maybe the leading initiate on the path of earth service. And the Buddha has received the touch of the cosmic mental plane, which fits, of course, if we consider that the Buddha is a third-ray monad and that the seeds of the previous solar system ripened in him. And this may mean, whoa, my audio connection was lost for a minute. Okay, that's not good. Okay, I'll lower this a little bit. Okay. All right. So anyway, the hierarchy works towards a sensitivity to the cosmic astral plane. The Tibetan very humbly says, well, who knows what's on the cosmic astral plane? I do not. I've not been there. But there are other and higher members of the hierarchy who probably have come closer to that, and the Christ seems to be one of them, because he is becoming a ray of love, a pure ray of love. This is what the Christ is on his way to become. The major, okay, it keeps on currently, only staff can participate in the conference call. To begin speaking to the entire audience, oh, what is going on here? This is, I'm sorry. We do seem to have people here. Attendees are on hold. Something peculiar is going on here. I hope this doesn't, I hope there's not a problem here. The sound seems to be coming through. The people are still present, but it said that I was not speaking to them. So I'm not sure what happened, but at least it's being recorded. So if they've missed something, oh, all right, all the way across the room, we have one tester here. Thank you. If it's coming through, then I'm reaching you. Very good. Thank you. All right. So the major ray of our solar system is that of love wisdom. And there is no better field on which to master the preliminary stages of that divine unfoldment and receive the needed development and education than on earth. Isn't that an amazing statement? We have the divine ray of love wisdom as the major ray of our solar system, and earth is the best place to learn it. I wouldn't have thought so. I would have thought maybe Venus or Jupiter or something of that nature. Well, he says, there's no better field on which to master the preliminary stages of that divine unfoldment. Maybe more advanced stages of that divine unfoldment can better be learned elsewhere. So with the second ray soul of our planetary logos, we're in a good place to learn the preliminaries of love wisdom. The second ray soul emerging. All right. I guess everybody still seems to be here. You just let me know, and if I fade out of sight. All right, moving on. On the earth, the masters have overcome glamour and illusion, and for them, no astral plane exists. Because in a way it's been replaced by the energy of pure love, or the Buddhic energy. Probably the two types of Agni-Suryans are involved in this, and the higher form of Agni-Suryans are now controlling the astral plane. Now ahead of them, and owing to their freedom from these bewilderments, will come the opportunity to enter into the heart of God, the center of pure love, and from that center to tread the way of love. They are becoming dragons of wisdom, and all dragons of wisdom are filled with the energy of love. All these 7 paths lead either to the cosmic astral plane or to the cosmic mental plane, according to the decision made at the 6th initiation. Now remember, there's one path that leads to the cosmic Buddhic plane. And that is path number well, we don't know about 8 and 9. We don't know. But of the paths that are given, path number 6 leads to the cosmic Buddhic plane. And that's the path that our solar logos is on. Now, if you think about that, think about this. The source of cosmic Buddhi is the Pleiades, as far as we are concerned. And our solar logos is moving towards cosmic Buddhi. We can immediately see the relationship between our solar logos and a destination in the Pleiades from which cosmic Buddhi comes. Okay, so anyway, there are normally 2 destinations here, either the cosmic astral plane or the cosmic mental plane. Upon the cosmic astral plane, there is no glamour, but instead a great vortex of energy, the energy of pure love under the domination of the law of attraction. But then, you can say that, well, if there is no glamour, we have to explain then what are the members of the Black Lodge doing there. Because that is their point of concentration for cosmic evil. But maybe they do not work through glamour in that way. Maybe there's some other mystery for them. So upon the cosmic astral plane, there is no glamour, but instead a great vortex of energy, the energy of pure love under the domination of the law of attraction. So it might be stated that the path of Earth service leads to the cosmic astral plane. The members of the hierarchy are attuning to the pure love energy of the cosmic astral plane. The path of magnetic work, which does a lot of work with our systemic astral plane, also leads to the cosmic astral plane. The path for training for planetary logoi leads to the higher levels of the cosmic mental plane. And by higher levels, presumably we mean the higher mental plane cosmically considered. The path to Sirius leads to the cosmic astral plane. The ray path leads to the cosmic mental plane. So far, we've got path 3 and 5, the numbers are correct, leads to the cosmic mental plane. The path of the Logos leads to the cosmic Buddhic, and the path of absolute sonship leads to the cosmic mental plane, not necessarily the higher levels. But then again, this is such a powerful path, you kind of wonder if it stops there on the cosmic mental plane or whether it goes beyond. Okay. 3 paths, therefore, lead to the realm of loving, attractive energy. I guess compared to what goes on the cosmic astral plane, we know very little about the love energy. Okay. On air, showing screen. Okay. So 3 paths lead to the realm of loving, attractive energy. 1 path leads to its higher correspondence, which is the cosmic Buddhic plane, the cosmic level of pure reason. What goes on there, we have no idea. 3 lead to the realm of divine mind. 4 of the paths relate the advancing master to the heart of the great life who functions through this solar system, and 3 to his mind nature. 1 path leads to the cosmic Buddhic, and 3 to the realm of divine mind. Now, what the 4 paths are heart paths, and they are to the cosmic astral and cosmic Buddhic, but the technical heart of the sun is on the cosmic mental plane. All of these paths lead eventually to the central spiritual sun. And by the central spiritual sun, it can mean many things. It means your monad, that's one thing, microcosmically. The central spiritual sun also means the monad of the solar logos, and obviously it must mean more than that, because many of the paths lead out of the solar system altogether. And here's what I think the central spiritual sun means. I think it means the Pleiades. All of these paths lead to the Pleiades. All who work in Shambhala find their way to this supreme center by the 3 most arduous ways, whilst the remainder reach the same goal via love. So then what are the 3 most arduous paths? Absolute sonship, planetary logoi, and the ray path. So if you live and work in Shambhala, then your method of getting to the central spiritual sun is via the more difficult paths, which are involved with mind nature and will nature rather than the love nature per se. Three to his mind nature. Now, the great life that functions through this solar system, this is here discussed, is the one about whom. He functions through this solar system. And 3, to his mind nature. Okay, he's a cosmic being. The unfoldment of the will has much to do with the decision of these masters. If we can't unfold the will, we cannot make the great decision, which is the decision made by the will principle or the monad itself. It must not be thought that those masters who are on the first, third, and fifth rays, for instance, follow the path numerically the same. Now, okay, I was telling you about this. These cosmic paths are not ray paths, although sometimes there is a tendency for certain ray types to follow certain paths, but at least he's saying there's not a one-to-one correlation. Such is not the case, nor that those who are predominantly on the second line of energy find the cosmic astral plane their goal. As a matter of fact, many of the masters of the wisdom, we will be told, and who are on the second ray as well, follow, for instance, the ray path to the cosmic mental plane. So the ray of the monad does not necessarily determine whether it's going to be the astral, cosmic astral, or cosmic mental path. Such is not the case. Their response and decision is, this is so interesting. Their response and their decision is based on a realization of cosmic need. That's why I asked, well, what do we see when imaginatively we identify ourselves as a monad? Are we just saying, well, I would like to do this. I'm completely free to make my decision now, so this is what I will do because I would like to do this. No, the factor of need is even then demonstrating. Only the range of consciousness of the one who decides is so vast that it can extend out into the cosmic realms. So always, for these high members of hierarchy, the fulfillment of a need is the main thing. It's not just the ray, it's the need. Their response and decision is based on a realization of cosmic need, a need of which you can know nothing, any more than it is possible for you to comprehend the nature of cosmic evil. Well, he certainly puts us in our place. But after all, it is our place, so we might as well face that. As to the detail of the work of those who choose until released, given the word to stay on earth and work in or with hierarchy, is there any more I can tell you? Basically, he's saying, all of my books have been about this. They've all been about those who stay here and work with the hierarchy and what they try to accomplish for humanity. So there's not really more I can say. You know much anent this subject, for I have given much, far more than has ever been given before. I have not dealt with the work of the hierarchy in relations to evolutions other than the human for 2 reasons. First, your unfoldment is still such, that you do not and cannot yet include or register the consciousness or nature of the subhuman kingdoms. The work done by the hierarchy in those kingdoms is largely carried forward via humanity and modern scientific development. There are many masters who do not work with the human kingdom at all, but who are fully occupied with carrying out the divine will in other kingdoms. With this work, we have at present no concern, because we don't have the faculty for it. Maybe one day we will be concerned. When anyone takes the sixth initiation and makes his decision to follow the path of earth service, either temporarily at the request of Sanat Kumara or until the end of the world cycle. Now such a one might be Hercules, as I say. He was an Atlantean and he's still there helping the Buddha from Shambhala, right? He will find himself faced with a secondary decision as to which of the four kingdoms will profitably provide the field of his sacrifice and service. So apparently, this path of earth service is not just about helping humanity on earth. It's about helping other kingdoms as well on earth. We are serving the earth by mineral, animal, vegetable kingdoms, and there are masters who work specifically in that way. Now let's see, does anybody have the rays and the initiations here with them? What page are we on? 401? Have we reached the end? That is the end. He just ends like that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we must have had a temporary internet fluctuation. Okay, have we learned anything further in this section on path number 1, since he is trying to fill in some of the detail that he did not give 20 years earlier or so? More about Sanat Kumara, right, and this path? More about the possible spiritual interference of Sanat Kumara in relation to this path. More about the registering of your decision and then staying, and then the decision will be good when you are given the word to move on. We learned something about the Christ and the Buddha completing a very high initiation together. It seems they always work together. It's very interesting. Back in Atlantean days, and it doesn't tell us when, but millions of years ago, they took the third initiation together. Again, together, in a fourth ray ashram. Their soul ray then was the fourth ray. And, at some point changed to the second. So, oftentimes the change of ray, the change of the soul ray, occurs before that time. But in this particular case, they are now on the second ray. So that change of ray from the fourth to the second took place after the third initiation in their case. That's not usually the case when rays change for people at this time. Okay, did we learn anything else here? Yes. No, because the devas have a completely different method of initiation, even if we can even call it initiation. Well, the devas have their own equivalent high beings who supervise their development. The Raja lords of each plane and the 7 sub-Raja lords are correlated with the subplanes, and all the many, many lesser lives. They have a whole hierarchy. They're extremely hierarchicalized. So I don't think they need the interference of the human kingdom. Yes. Well, and maybe certain devas are assigned similarly, because the deva workers are assigned to all of these different kingdoms. But the question is, who would supervise them as they do that? And I think their own higher ups would do that. That's my. Can I hear? Yes, there's all the time a relationship with the Raja Lords. Interesting thing about the Lord Kushiti has four helpers. Court? I don't remember that. Four helpers of Shita. The four helpers of Kushiti are helping to determine how the healing of humanity will go forth. They're talking about matter built of Devic life and how they can contribute to the healing. Yeah. And we have to remember Serapis Bey, who is now withdrawn, preparing for the new Renaissance and training the Deva kingdom in music and art. The sixth root race will be very much related to the Deva kingdom, cooperating with them. Yeah, because the sixth root race will involve a connection to the sixth principle, which expresses on the Buddhic plane, which is the plane of harmony between the Deva kingdom and the human kingdom. Yeah. Okay. Let us anyway, the path of Earth service has more to it than work with humanity, and we've discussed a few things that we have perhaps learned by studying this enlargement on the subject. Okay, if there's anything else. Yes, this struck me, cosmic need. That the decision is based on cosmic need, the sense of cosmic need. And, you could think that when when a unit of life in the fourth grade of hierarchy is restored to the place of being a fully aware monad, then cosmic need could be divined, could be, in fact, uh, realized in some way that it's not at all possible for us to realize. So always the factor of responsibility is determining choices, even at that very, very high level. Monads know where they are to go, what planets they may be touching, what constellations will be their destination, how the one about whom naught may be said, or the central spiritual sun, will be their goal. They begin to embrace, at that high point, a sense of the one about whom naught may be said, who is the God of our local cosmos. And they begin to see where they are needed in that larger economy. And, how they sense this or how they know this, we cannot know. One day we will know. But they have the ability to see into these things. So responsibility always governs their choice, and there is no such thing as personality inclination at that high level. Although, as the Buddha proved, love and compassion can be deterrents, and that is quite extraordinary. Yeah, sometimes when you can, um, she said that some of these things are making the rest of the books make more sense. Sometimes when you can see where it's all going, then the various steps along the way are making sense. You know, why we have to go through this long process of development until we can be free of all the 5 lower Brahmic worlds and return to our condition as a monad, and then our responsibility may not be to Earth at all, but to a larger system. Yeah. So when one's destination begins to make sense, it's a very rewarding realization. You can go through life with greater certainty because you know the direction and you know why you are going there. And of course, humanity is so lost at the present time. The sense of direction is childish, you know. And if we can provide, of course, you know, when we talk about these things, we will not be believed by the average consciousness. No. But the authority, you know, let's just say the superb English with which Alice Bailey writes and the authority of the Tibetan's thought, these things are convincing in themselves. The standard is so high that people have to begin to say, well, look, there's something very impressive here. Regardless of whether it seems like nonsense to me, I will give it a chance. I will listen because it has quality. It has dignity, you know. All right. Path number 2. Very different, but also going to the cosmic astral plane and trodden by many fifth-ray monads, which will be of interest, I think. He says fifth-ray people, i.e. fifth-ray monads. He even uses the word people in relation to monads. So sometimes you would think he would use it only in relation to personalities, but let's see if I can find that, because it really arrested my attention. How do you refer to a monad? He refers to them as people. People, fifth. Let's see if I can get that. A large number of fifth-ray people, those who have the ray of concrete knowledge for their monadic ray, pass to this line of endeavor. Now, these are some of the, maybe what we should do just for fun is to read what he says in just at the end of initiation, human and solar, you know. Matter of fact, since it's so short, let's just read what he has to say about the path of Earth service. And it astonishes me that the Tibetan, writing a book for the average person out there, ends with the cosmic paths. But you know, he's crazy like a fox in a way, because initiation is what attracts everybody. People want to be better than they are. They want to rise higher than they are. They want to overcome their limitations. Initiation is the subject, and then you give this destiny to them, even at the end of a book meant for the general public, and immediately you have inspired people to make an attempt to do something. Exactly. You know, the Tibetan said that the hierarchy works through inspiration. It doesn't just work through the imparting of facts. You know, when it says something, it wants to make an energy change in your system so that you will elevate yourself. So I really see why he did this. Now, this book is almost 90 years old, Initiation, Human and Solar. And but Mary Bailey, you know, I remember she talked about her first experience with initiation, human and solar. And she said, this book is a real mind splitter. That's what she called it. It splits your mind wide open. If you haven't read anything of this nature before, you're just stunned at the possibilities for human advancement that are presented. So let's see. All of them, because as you see, all the different ashrams are involved with masters and chohans on the path of earth service. So all of them, and as a matter of fact, I'm sure that all monadic rays find their way onto every type of path, but there may be a preponderance here or there. The path of magnetic work. In considering this path, what was I was going to read that, wasn't I? Path of earth service. This is the path that keeps a man linked to the hierarchy, that is pledged to the service of our planet and to the help of its evolutions. It's a nice summary. It comprises those who work under the Lord of the world in the 7 groups into which our masters of the wisdom are divided. Not so many masters follow this path as some of the others, and only enough are permitted to do so to carry on planetary evolution satisfactorily. More is known about this path than about the others, and more will be found out as members of our humanity fit themselves to contact the Brotherhood. Their field of employ, their methods of work will eventually become exoteric knowledge, and as the 7 groups are recognized and known, schools of development for the filling of posts in these groups will be the logical sequence. So, if you want to know what the members on this path are doing, we study ashramic work in the 7 groups. That's what it's all about. Now, here is the introduction to the path of magnetic work. Path of magnetic work. Those who do the work of wielding forces or electrical magnetism for the use of the great ones on all the planes pass to this path. It's a very phohatic electrical path, which the 5th ray monads find congenial. You kind of wonder, we don't know for sure, but can it be that Master Hilarion, with his strong 5th ray component to his monad, would go to a path like this? He would not go to Sirius, because his Manus is already tremendously developed, it seems. Okay. They wield the elemental formative energy, manipulating matter of every density and vibration. Great waves of ideas and surging currents of public opinion on astral levels, as well as on the higher levels where the great ones work, are manipulated by them. So they are manipulators of energy. A large number of 5th ray people, those who have the ray of concrete knowledge for their monadic ray, pass to this line of endeavor. The inherent quality in the type of the monad settles usually the line of activity, but later he also contradicts that idea. The karma of the 5th ray is one of the factors which produces this. These monads work with Fohat and must to the end of the greater greater Manvantara. They have their eventual position on the cosmic mental plane, even though they go to the cosmic astral plane first, but as yet the capacity for abstract thought is so little developed that it is impossible for us to comprehend the significance of this expression. So he just says a little bit. Anything that strikes you in what is said here?
Why do you think he contradicts later? Because he says here, the inherent quality in the type of the monad.
Usually, of activity.
I think he says something else later on.
Yeah, and he says later on that they are not ray paths. He says they're not ray paths. First, second, and third ray doesn't mean you'll take a path of that nature. But fifth ray monads often take this path. And what's interesting, because of the karma of the ray. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it's a very, again, Venus seems to be involved here. They are somehow involved in sweetening the astral plane and helping to rid it of glamour. It's a very interesting work. Now, we know that the numbers 2 and 5 are closely connected as far as the solar angels go and as far as Venus goes. And we sometimes say, well, how can 2 and 5 be connected? But we read the names of the fifth ray Lord, and we find very many beautiful second ray ideas. So that's the Venusian connection. And it improves the quality of the astral plane. We will now read about this and see what we can learn. I'm very interested about this whole phohatic manipulation. Wielding forces, electrical magnetism, for the use of greater ones on all planes, elemental formative energy. This is atomic power. This is the power of matter, which they manipulate. But they also manipulate ideas and public opinion on astral levels as well. They have power over all these energies in the three lower worlds because they know specifically the scientific way of doing this. You know, so many things are happening and we have no notion why they are. I think we will see that in just a moment. All right, so let's see. Oh, now I'm trying to, there we go. Okay, the path of magnetic work from cosmic fire. And we'll take our break. We'll take our break soon. I know, I'm aware as we go through this stuff how much it demands of the mind to really stay with it. It is difficult. But then again, it is the end of the book, so I guess we can't expect anything other than that. In considering this path, students must bear in mind that they are dealing with that path which, of all the seven, expresses most fully the law of attraction. Fifth ray and second ray. The electrical know-how to reinforce the law of attraction. It will be remembered by those who have carefully read this treatise that this law is the expression of the spiritual will which produces the manifestation of the sun, or second aspect of divinity. Magnetism, physical, attractive, and dynamic, those are the three levels, is the expression of the law in the three worlds as far as the human unit is concerned. It will be apparent, therefore, that the adept who passes upon this path is dealing with that reality which is the basis of all coherency in nature. The law of cohesion is involved here. How to hold things together by electrical energy. The adept who passes upon this path is dealing with the reality, that reality which is the basis of all coherency in nature. It's form building. And with that essence, which through the force of its own innate quality produces the attractive energy which brings together the pairs of opposites. So we see the Venus-like law of attraction at work. It is the force which is responsible for the interplay of electrical phenomena of every kind. These are big statements. This force is responsible for the interplay of electrical phenomena of every kind. The adept who chooses this cosmic stream of energy upon which to make certain cosmic approaches, in other words, toward what constellation do they move, and upon which to make series of cosmic unfoldments, is one who has worked primarily upon the second ray prior to the fifth initiation. Okay, prior is one who has worked primarily upon the second ray prior to the fifth initiation. Now, I've often thought about St. Paul, and this is what I've thought, that he was a sixth ray soul, a fanatical individual who had this tremendous belief and was able to inspire everyone with belief. But then, at a certain point in his development, his sixth ray began to transform into the second ray on the soul level. And he could then write about the power of love as nobody since has been able to do. An extraordinary, what is it, Corinthians, one of those Corinthians chapters is the 13, the nature of love. So on the soul level, I have felt a kind of a 6-to-2 situation. On the monadic level, ray 5 Fohat, ray 1 power. And his personality, ray 4 struggle. Because he was born as a Scorpio. That's what we are told. Okay, so the adept who chooses this second path makes certain cosmic approaches and undergoes cosmic unfoldments, and he has worked prior to being a monad, see, prior to the fifth initiation, he has worked on the second ray path, and who frequently has also been upon the fourth ray path. But remember, we just were told that fifth ray monads approach. So now he's given requirements. He said a second ray soul, a fourth ray soul, and a fifth ray monad. These are the kinds that go onto this path. Adepts who have been upon the fourth ray path and who pass from thence to the second ray do not, as a rule, choose this cosmic line of endeavor. And that is very interesting. There are all these rules about the changes of rays and what you do when you change rays. Quite a number. Now, if you are a fourth ray soul, will you necessarily become a second ray soul? Not necessarily. You could also become a third ray soul, or you could simply remain upon the fourth ray and not change at all. If you are a sixth ray soul, will you necessarily become a second ray soul? No. You can become a third ray soul, or you could stay upon the sixth ray, all the way to the fourth initiation and maybe beyond. I think, yeah, this particular paragraph we just read. It has been transposed from Initiation Human and Solar, so we don't need to read that again. But anyway, the fifth ray people whose monads are upon the fifth ray often go to this line of endeavor. And remember that the second ray has an interesting name, many interesting names. One of the interesting names of the fifth ray, of the second ray, is the ray of attractive coherency. The ray of attractive coherency. So we're talking about forces which hold things together. Coherency. Here it is. Systemic energies pass through the hierarchy and are related to the second ray of love wisdom, or as it is oft called in esoteric astrology, the ray of attractive coherency. So this fifth path, the second path with fifth ray monads, is very much about cohesion and the forces which bind things together. Now I'll tell you what, we're going to take a little break so that we don't become overwhelmed by all this. And then we will move on. And let's see, how long is this section here? It's long. Long. Well, we're going to have to live through the fifth ray, I'm sorry. We just have to live through it. Yes, it is long, isn't it? Goodness. And then after that, I added the path of magnetic work from rays and initiations, which is shorter. So just fortify yourselves, and regardless of how you feel, do come back. We'll see you in 15 minutes. It's long. The fifth ray stanzas are always the longest ones in the old commentary. Okay, everybody. We'll be back soon, making our way through this marvelous and difficult section. We will somehow manage and meet the challenge.